Hello everybody, my name's Eric. I'm making a game. That game is called the Godkiller. You solve puzzles in it. You find secrets, you explore, you fight things, you run away from things, and you're in a battle against God himself. That's my little verbal explanation of it, but let me go ahead and do a demo of recently completed progress. So, let's size this a little bit better to fit inside the broadcast area. Okay. So, most of my session yesterday was debugging a problem that came up. That was... It's one of those black box problems that are really not fun. I'll go to my Stack Overflow on it. Some dick came around, gave me a -1 in the question, left no explanation as to why. It's one of these persnickety moderator types. Yeah, so okay, this image over here was popping up as a side effect of me drawing it here, and I had some help from this guy named Cicada Forest, or his handle is named that, and we did camera stacking. We put camera stacking in, and that made it so that there are certain cameras that only show the UI stuff, and there's certain cameras that only show the in-game stuff. And after that was done, this artifact went away. It also occurred to me that that would be a good way to make an object in the scene an overlay on top of everything else without using the GUI stuff. So that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to move these faces that appear over the top of characters into... Hey, Frightlaw. Good morning. I think it's morning for you. Maybe it's late morning. Maybe it's noon or something like that. I think you were in Pennsylvania. But yeah. Anyways, my memory may be wrong on that. Yeah. So I hit play, and we'll show this thing. So that bug was fixed, and then also it was like the first time that I had this face on two characters at one time. And that was why a few bugs came up. Wait a minute. Where are you at? Are you in Europe? Poland. Ah, okay. There we go. Very cool. I've not been to Poland. I've been to lots of countries in Europe, but not Poland. I'm always surprised though when I look at a map. Poland's big. Poland's very large, spatially large. Yeah, anyways. Okay, so we got two faces up on the screen at one time. And yeah, so it's all working. These faces, they can have different animations applied to them. That all works now. I'm missing some of the content which would make it worthwhile to author all the timing. I need to get some voiceovers at some point. So a couple things I'd like to do in this session. One thing is this face I'd like to just stay right over the top of Billy. I don't really want it to move as I move. So this face here, because the calculations that put above the character I'm controlling are assuming the camera is centered on the character, it causes it to stay just kind of locked at the same position. But this one over here, which uses the same code, I think since it's not centered on the camera, the code doesn't work for this as well. So while the face is basically there, it's still kind of moving around as I move. Okay, the other thing I did yesterday is I set some different logic for auto fading for the player character versus the non-player characters. So for the player character, it has to do with what's underneath. Is there a certain amount of richness in detail underneath that the player might be interested in? Also, when you duck underneath, it'll hide all the faces. So right here I'm out in the open, so the face is, oh, got a little bit of hiccups here, is at high opacity. When I come down here, it fades out because there might be some things that I want to see underneath. If I wait for a little while, it'll fade back to high opacity because it assumes that like you don't need it to be at low opacity. Now, if I go up these stairs, for example, there's a lot of stuff I would have a hard time seeing if the face were not at low opacity. And then someone might say, well, it's really annoying to have the face there all the time. Why would you do that? It's not going to be that way. Just trust me. It's just, for now, for testing, the faces are always up. But there'll be an extra criteria that the character will need to be talking before we put the face up. Okay. So yeah, in this session, I want to fix that one positioning issue. And if I make good time, I would like to also make the faces only appear while characters are speaking. Okay, the other thing I did for the NPCs is I made their auto-fading logic say that if they have some action besides standing in one place, that their default opacity will be low opacity. So anyways, I suppose it's kind of boring, but it all comes down to there's a lot of refinements to the logic of when faces are shown at high opacity or low opacity. And it's meant to correctly choose automatically between one of two goals, letting the players see what they need to see to walk around inside the game, or presenting the dramatic story-based content of the characters speaking to each other. So it's just kind of dancing between those two goals and trying to figure out, based on where you're positioned at, what's underneath you, other things, how exactly we should show the faces. So there's a lot of criteria there, and I hope I'm getting something that's going to work well for players. I'll probably end up tweaking it further from play testing. What I don't want to do is have a setting. I don't want to have an option you go to and say, I don't like faces, I'm going to turn them off. For me, that would be failure. Okay, I think I just noticed one other problem. When I hit escape, it's supposed to turn off the faces. I had that working yesterday. Seems like I regressed it at some point. Let me see if I can fix it. All right, getting to work here. Yeah, so there should be, in the face manager, there should be a pause feature. Pause. And we hide all the faces with the face controller. me see if this is getting called, and if something else is getting called afterwards, it makes it kind of go back to normal. Oh, you know, I bet I know what it is. Let's go to face controller. Fade. Let's see, fade to. If I say set opacity here, I want my other logic to work right. I have to cancel any fades that are going. I bet that fixes it. We'll see. That fixes it. You bet. Short answer. I wanted to use Unity, and therefore C# is an easier choice to use for Unity. I'm not even sure if it's possible to use C++ with Unity. It probably is. But suppose that I wasn't necessarily going to use Unity. I might also not use C++, even though I know how to write code in it. I wrote code in C++ for a dozen years or so. My first game was C++. You have to be much more careful writing code in C++ and C because of the direct memory access and the need to make sure you stay inside the boundary of memory when you set variables. And then there's stuff with memory allocation and deallocation to look after. So a certain percentage of my time will be spent debugging these problems, even though I follow practices to prevent myself from running into those problems. I know it'll slow me down a little bit to use C++ because of that. I'm kind of curious though, now that you brought it up. Unity, C++. I'm sure somebody figured it out that you can do it. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Is it possible? I bet you it is. Ah. Yeah, I think my understanding matches with these guys. Seems quite complicated. I might have picked a different engine. I might have picked Unreal if I was going to write in C++. If that was important to me. All right. Okay, on to this bug here. I want that face to appear over the top of the character. Oh, like to give up? When you say end, do you mean that they would stop being game developers, or that, okay, yeah. I think it is honestly a bad choice to start in game development with C++. You've got so many things to worry about when you're learning a language, and C++ will give you some extra ones to worry about. But yeah, I mean, I had a game that, I mean, it's, let's see, Trod, source code. The code that I wrote 2 decades ago inside of this project is not that different than the type of code I'd write in C#. Let me see if I can find something I actually wrote. I think I did the blood effect. So this is open source, so a lot of people worked on it besides me. Yeah. That might have been Mike on that one. There's some stuff though with direct memory access, which it is faster. It is faster than the same code that you might write in C#. There are like some ways in C# to get around it. You can say with a certain tag unsafe, and then you can have direct memory access. That's interesting. I might do more of that in the future. Yeah, this is probably the code I'm most proud of inside of this project. So I can find some examples of things that you can do in C++ in here. That's the thing. Other than like direct memory access and a few things that aren't very important, like you can do all the same stuff in C#. So, yeah. Oh, I do miss this. I wish they had this in C#. You say that a function or a class is constant, and it means that you can't change any data inside of it. It's like one example of C++ having some way to make the code safer. This kind of stuff was really annoying though. So, say you want a string in C++. There's multiple ways to do it. So this little thing in the beginning, you put an SC at the beginning. That's to warn you that you're storing this string in a certain way. That it would have these characters in it, and at the end you'd have a terminating 0. And that terminating 0 character, it's hidden, but it's just there for the compiler to see where the string ends. So then say you write directly to the memory in that string, and you overwrite that terminating 0 on the end by accident. Like say I pass this to a function that is going to write directly to memory, and it says go ahead, put a 4 right on the end of that string, and I overwrite that 0. Well, that means that the program can just crash, because when some other code executes to read in that string, they'll keep reading because there's nothing on the end of it to stop reading in data. So stuff like that is really, really fucking annoying. And here's a different string here. This one's got str at the beginning to tell me that it's a class that is used, like a certain kind of, it's a different type of string that has a class that somebody else wrote that handles all the string stuff. So then when I take like this type of string and I put it on the end of this string, then I know internally this thing is stored in a different way than this one is. So it's stuff like that. Stuff like that, which is really kind of annoying. Cumbersome. All right, let me see if I can find the code for locating where a face is going to be shown at. Get face screen chords. This one right here. This is just a little bit of code, but this might end up being a little tricky. How do these get set? They're just constants? Oh, they're public. There's no Y offset. Yeah, it feels like it should work. Let me try a few things. Try not to maximize. No, I'll see if I play with these offsets if it's going to cause a difference in behavior. Because one thing I could do Let's move the offsets up higher. Okay, so let's find Billy. Where's he at? Level. Billy, where are you at? All right. And so the Y offset is just kind of moving it straight up. It's not actually helping anything. So Y at 0, X 0.5, Z 2.5. So suppose I was just correcting it to put it where I think it should be. Let's try that. I think that's about where I'd want it. But if I go walk around, it's going to move too. Yeah, it's just kind of following along in a weird way. Okay, let's try putting it lower. So is it true that the lower I put it, the less it moves? Doesn't seem to be true. Let's put it up high. No, the higher it is, the less it moves, maybe. So if I put it like at the same height as the camera, maybe that would make it move the least of all. Oh wait, let me just keep on playing with this 10. There, it's kind of corresponding to where I expect it like it feels like it's in one single place in the world. It's not where I want it to be relative to this character, but it does feel like it's not shimmying around. Maybe it is a tiny bit though. I don't know. I'll go down there, I'll see what it looks like. Well, now it's up above me. Oh, there we go. Alright, let's put it back down to 0 again. See, that's staying pretty constant. Like it's not... Is it shimmying a little? Just a tiny bit. Another way I could do this is just put a game object that the render texture like a sprite thing up above it. I would still have to scale it based on I don't know if I'd have to scale it. I could just make... I don't know. I think I would have to scale it. I'd have to scale it based on distance from the camera and sort of make it so that it's always the same size. It's not ridiculous, the idea of just keeping it at the same ratio as the character. So like if Billy's far away down below, his face might be small too. If I go down that route, then I might be spending all day on this. Might be better for performance, I don't know. Maybe it's worth maybe throwing together a quick test. Okay. Let me think about this a little bit. 2. What leads do I have on that? Let me just look at that again. Base controller. Problem is there's not too much there, and it looks fairly correct, and I feel like this may take me a long time to figure out, just because it looks correct to me. I don't see what I'm going to change. I guess leads are none of these sound fruitful to me offhand. Okay, figure out what screen X, Y should be, and note discrepancies between actual and ideal as basis for correction. Okay. Write your own screen point calc, or look for function for it online. Okay. So it really seems like not that great of an option, to be honest. I think either number 1 or number 2. I'm working on this for the better part of the day. If anything, maybe number 1's faster. Okay, what else? What else? Oh yeah, I could put faces in canvas as images. Move them to right place. This still seems to be need number 2, the work from number 2. Okay. I think I'm gonna try number 1. I'll try it. I'll see if it. Okay, number 4. It's not that bad. Let it go. I mean, I could tweak the offsets as best you can. They'd still sort of float around. Or maybe I'd get them to be a little closer to the intent, but they'd still do that sort of floating around thing. All right, number 1. Let's do number 1. So for that, going to write a junky version of it first, just to make sure it works. I think that's not quite right. Let's get rid of this extra hierarchy. Start with an empty game object. Rename face. Or I suppose I could use a pro builder object. That won't do anything bad. Okay, tools, pro builder. Okay. Okay, I'll make this the same size as I'm usually using to draw the face. And okay, let's do a git commit. then for the moment, I think I just want let's see. Just some kind of texture that looks like something. I could just throw this there. Okay. Then that's a little crazy, but it'll work for the moment. Got that in subtitles layer. This guy, let's turn off face player. That might cause an error. Weird, I can't disable the script. Okay. So I guess I'll just write some code inside a face player that doesn't show anything. Fine. All right, then let's fix the UV on this so it looks like something slightly resembling a face. Okay, so let's go Tools, Pro Builder, UV Editor. Okay, just do something like, can I go, bam, that would be cool if I could. Okay, this guy here. And scale it way, way, way down. No, not you. Stop that. Okay. Oh. Dumb, stupid thing. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, then let's close the UV editor. Okay, then I want to make sure that I don't want post-processing to mess with this, so let's go to post-processing on the camera. Well, honestly, it shouldn't already, because I come over to here. There's nothing even shown there. So I have it on the subtitles layer. I really don't want it to receive shadows. See, it looks like the right shader, unlit, transparent. Alright, let me just hit play and see what happens. Nothing. It's hidden. I have no idea why it wouldn't show up on the camera for subtitles, which is showing the subtitles. Well, let's take it off that layer. So it shows up there. It's got issues with coloration. Which I expect it to have, because there it's in the post-processing effects are upping the saturation. So that's probably explaining that. Put it on a different layer. Subtitles, I would expect it to pick up on this camera though, and I don't know why it doesn't. Just moving around to see if like maybe it's in some other part of the world or something. Okay, so that doesn't work well. Why would it not show up? Default, we're good. But I can't use default camera because of this problem. It will not draw on top of other things. So camera stacking should have allowed me to have this just draw on top of everything. Let me try one other thing. I'll put this on subtitles, but I'll turn the other camera off so that you can't see it. And maybe. Nope. I don't know what this is. I don't think I need to worry about it. Alright, let's turn this guy back on. if it's like something to do about it being within a hierarchy. So if I take the face that has subtitles and I move it outside of the hierarchy. Nope. Do not see it that way. Okay, I thought of one other idea that is maybe fairly easy to do. So we could say face doesn't show anything. It's just an anchor point where the face will get drawn, and maybe that would make it so I don't really need to use that offset value. That's because I was turning the camera on and off. Okay, no problem. Okay, so face. I don't know. Then in this case, all face is a different. If I just have a game object that's used to say where the offset is, that's the same thing as having these three values. So I'm not actually figuring anything out with that. It's not helping anything. All right. I'm gonna get rid of this for now. I just don't think it's don't think it's giving me anything. And it feels like a lot of work to troubleshoot it. These back how they were. I think I might just, as a slight detour, and to close this. Let's see what event type repaint is, so I can learn a little bit. Oh. Okay. Well, that's great. I actually like that. Still don't get what that guy says about Oh, I see. So then he was giving me the extra advice. He's saying if you gotta use on GUI, check for the event type. But he's saying, yeah, why wouldn't you just use the canvas and image and raw image and all that? And I don't think that actually helps me, but. Event current. If event current type equals, if event current type equals event type, did I miss it? Oh, here it is. Repaint. Draw work to screen. Curious what this does for my frame rate. I love the idea of not calling this code more often than the frame. So with two faces before, I was hovering around 85 frames per second, which isn't great. That doesn't give me a lot of buffer, you know, for other stuff happening. So let's give this a shot. Apples to apples, we'll do maximize and stats, and hit play. It helped a little bit because I was at 85 before and now it's like 90 something. So it did help a little bit. That was a good change. All right, let me go over to here. So the one thing that's kind of bugging me is it feels like there's a Y value difference that's making this head float around. So is it possible for me to set the Y value in such a way that it'll stop doing that? That's what I wonder. New tab, give me another tab. And tab, hierarchy. Okay, let's find Billy. Okay, and go back to the inspector. Play with the Y offset. Okay, let's try 0.5. I feel like it lessened. I really do feel like it lessened. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so here's how I can tell. I'll look at the bottom of the chin. Let's see. It's like this stuff, these windows are kind of easy to lose track of, so I will put them off on this side a little bit, and let's pull that back over. Pull this so I can just click it. Okay, that's 0.5. Let's do 1. So it feels like it's doing more movement there. Negative 0.5. All right, so now it's like almost underground a bit. Okay, that looks like it's moving more. Let's go back. Let's go back to 0. That's the baseline. That's the thing that should be just not moving, but it is moving. .25. Okay, I need some way of measuring this, because if I just do it optometrist style, I'll make mistakes. Optometrist, where they show you 2 options and you say which one is better. I can't see them both at the same time like I could in an optometrist office. So let's say the goal is to have the bottom of the chin be as close to this center point as possible from either the right or the left side. You're automatically, I already know like what you're going to say on this one. You're automatically going to be irritated at my approach. You're going to say, just put it in scene space. Here's the code, man. Okay, keep in mind, this is you know that I know that you know. All right, let me see. Where was it? Where was it? Oh, face player. That's where it is. Okay. So if you remember, the end of all the stuff here is a call to graphics.draw texture, which takes screen points as opposed to world space coordinates. Okay, but the position of the face is meant to be in world space, which I know will bother you, because you're like, just put the thing in world space. Just put it in world space. Make it a game object in the scene. But I think that option is costly. Anyways, I'm arguing against voices in my head. So then there's this get face screen chords, and that's true. That's true. So there's an intermediate texture. It's not a render texture technically. It's a texture 2D, right? I understand that approach. I went a little bit in that direction this morning, and nope. It won't be, man. It won't be, because it gives me other problems to solve. It gives me immediately like 3 problems to solve, and maybe whatever else I have to solve because something else broke. So this is the code. It takes like basically the world position and moves it to translates it to screen coordinates. But even though I see no problem with that code, what actually happens is this face will move around as the camera moves. But I can reduce it pretty easily, it looks like, with a certain Y offset. I don't know why it's mattering, but so you can kind of see it, like the position of this face kind of moving around a little bit. Anyways, so here it's floating above. That seems kind of close to right. I think that honestly might be close enough to what I want. I just don't know how much fiddling is worth doing on this. Got other problems to solve. .5. I'll take it up to 1. Hold on. I'm gonna finish my little test here. Actually, in some ways, that looks more correct because I'm putting, yeah. I think the coordinates are actually correct. It's just that my eye wasn't making peace with it. Because the head is really, it's somewhere just a little bit above. I'm going to go back to the thing you said in a second. I'm just playing with my current lead. So the chin should basically be like, should be like there's a steel rod coming out of his head going direct north, and the chin is attached to it. I mean, not literally, but I just want the face to look like it's aligned with the top of his head. I don't think he takes a full 2 meters. I think if I just get that, yeah, that might be it. Looks a little low there. Honestly, I think I just fixed it just now. I think that's it right there. Yeah. I'm happy enough with that. That's good. I don't know if I could do better. I mean, even if I could just arrange it to be exactly what I wanted, I don't know if that would be any better than this. I'll try to get him a little bit closer. Ah, stop it. Okay, let's do 2. Okay, that looks better. Okay, 1.5. Let's do 2. Okay, and I'll go back to the top. Let's see how the settings look up there. Okay, that's good. I have to remember that when I kill a character to not show their face afterwards. Okay. Oh yeah, I have to kill him to get back to the beginning, so therefore I can't see what his face is going to look like relative to him. So let's copy these settings and stop. Let's go to Billy. Okay, I'll just test this out again from up at this vantage point to see if it looks screwy. It does look screwy. God damn it. So I'll go look at your link. This guy makes a lot of posts. He's getting to be famous for me. I don't know who he is. Yeah, I've read a lot of good stuff that he's written on the forums. There's a lot of asymmetry like that. Like I listen to tons of podcasts, and if I ever met like a Joe Rogan or an Eric Weinstein, it would be like extremely weird because I would know so much about them and they would know nothing about me. It'd be weird. Yeah, the portal. I love that. Well, I'm not going to be able to snippet my way through this because this is shader code. Alright, so perspective correction. Unity object to view pos. That might be a lot like the call to get the screen space position. So I'm guessing world to screen point is probably a lot like this. I don't know offhand what the normalize function does. View normal equals float. Cross product. Yeah. So my math isn't really good enough to just like kind of know what all this does. So I'm not going to be great at converting it over to the Unity C# equivalent. I mean, I can figure out what each one of these functions does, like normalize. I can go find out what that does. I can figure out what cross does. And then I'm basically just finding like the Unity equivalents. Okay, I'm going to start with that. Let's see. No, pixel values. I mean, I can scale them, but I can make them values between 0 and 1. Is that what normalize does? That's easy enough to do. Okay. So you're saying, okay, we'll float. I guess you could say they're normalized. Normalized x equals screen x divided by screen width. And I will not worry about optimizing this to begin with. Okay. So I don't know this function very well. It's returning the float 3. That makes me think that it's returning XYZ. So I don't know if I'm being apples to apples with this thing now. Normalize makes a vector 3 a unit distance value. I guess that 0 to 1, though, that would be okay. Well, I want to get to a point where I'm tracking with you a little bit instead of I don't want to just like type things that are. I want to understand the algorithm just a little bit. Okay, so if I've got this number between -1 and 1, okay, but the thing where, yeah, so I agreed with you earlier, with your point now, when I was experimenting with the offset Y. The trouble is, when I came over to this other point of view, the offset, okay, hold on. I just gotta compile. Come on, compile. Go back to Unity. Okay, here we go. All right. So when I was down here and the camera was down closer to the character, the offset Y that was being applied was correct. Like it made this head be in the right spot. Now when I'm up here, the camera's up higher. That same offset Y, when applied, did not correct the coordinates in the same way it did when my camera was down at the same level as the other character. So the way the offsets work is they say take the transform of the character and apply an X, Y, and Z offset to where you want the face to be drawn relative to the character transform. Yes, yeah, the offset is specified as an offset to the world position. Yeah. You mean supply an offset to the calculated screen position coordinates? I would have to have some kind of dynamic offset, like something that is based on, it can't be a constant offset. Well, I mean, the trouble is, well, now I can't move around because I compiled in the middle of a play, but as I move around, the XYZ value, it doesn't seem to, it's like the point returned by that Unity function to get a screen value is not actually corresponding to the XYZ in world space that you give it. Although I wouldn't mind testing that further, just make sure that that's true. I could do that pretty easily, actually. That might be nice to nail down. Okay, let's just leave this for now. to-do clean. Just want to make sure I don't forget about this. Yeah. Let me do. On GUI, I could draw a point that'll show a few things. So let's do graphics. No, it's like, no, it's something else. It's like GUI, draw. What is it? What's that called? Draw point. Okay, do draw. Okay, gizmos. That's what it was. Gizmos. So we say. Gizmos, draw sphere, add transform, let's see, position, the radius will be, I don't know, 0.1f, that'll do it, let's see, because that'll put it right at the transform. Then on GUI, if we say, let's take the transform position, just this thing up here, just this thing up here. Well, okay. I just want to get, what, vector 2? Okay, then we'll do graphics, draw texture. Is that true though? Because the UE camera would be orthogonal. Orthographic. I'm willing to try it. But let me do the other tests that I just started doing, but yeah, I'm interested in trying that. Okay, so we'll just draw this work texture. Oh god, it's such a pain to. Is there something faster than this? Because I'll have to come up with all the other stuff. Will debug draw let me specify screen points? No, that's in world space. So what I'm trying to do is show. Yeah, what I'm trying to do is show that the coordinates that come back from world to screen point don't correspond, at least as far as the camera is concerned, to the world space position put into it. Because I feel like there's something wrong with this. Not that I'm going to get to debug that or it's useful to rant on that function, but I feel like the original thing you said about like the normals, I'm partway through this, you know. I want to kind of finish this test because it'll tell me something. Let's see. So let's go back to graphics, draw, texture. Okay, so you got screen rect, texture, source rect. Or I could just go to yeah, but it feels like I would need some kind of perspective in order for the face to be drawn at the right place. All right, I'll tell you what, it does seem like maybe it'll be faster to try the thing you're talking about, the thing I'm talking about. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll keep this here, that doesn't hurt anything. Okay, now let's do clean. All right. No, but I have been right before on some approaches. It's like there's usually more than one way to get to the answer. And if I understand what you're saying, or it's easy to try, here's my logic. If I understand what you're saying, it makes sense to me, or if I'm pretty sure it's easy to try, I see clearly how I could try it real quick, then I'll do it. But if it seems like I don't understand what you're saying, or it seems like it'd be hard to try the thing, then I'll say, maybe I'll do the other thing I'm already doing. That's kind of how my brain goes. But so in this case, I don't understand how the thing you're saying could work, but it seems easy to try, so I do not mind trying it all. And I know you're giving me help, and it's kind of like looking the gift horse in the mouth, but that is how my thinking goes. Okay, so let's set current camera to something besides main camera. Let me see how to get this quickly. I could set like a public property for the camera. Okay, so let's do public camera. Use camera. Okay, so current camera. Then let's go back. All right, and then we need to set this to use subtitle camera, and then let's do the player camera. Let's say we'll use not the player camera, the player. Subtitle camera. All right. Okay, well, at least it worked. That's worth something. Okay, let me fiddle with the offsets here to get them so they look correct at this place. X looks fine, it's the Z, so we'll say 3.5. That's pretty close. Okay, it does look like it's at the same height as his head, so that stayed the same. Okay. I see that drift again. I don't know. Yeah, so here yeah, okay. Let me double check that it is truly using that UI camera. And like I don't have code that overrode it someplace. Current camera. Okay, use camera. Subtitle camera. Okay, it's using the right camera. So one thing that's interesting to me is it does seem like X is doing fine. It's Z. Y seems fine too, because like when I was up top, it felt like this was placed even with the top of his head. It's too high on the Z dimension. But it's strange to me that I don't see perspective problems with X. I don't know about that, because the offset has to be based upon a point in world space. I know what you're saying, but before I know what to offset from, no, let me put it this way. Okay, so we begin with a transform. Then I have to convert that to screen coordinates. Okay? Of course I can supply an offset to the screen coordinates. But if that original point in screen coordinates moves around, it's not really fixed in place, representative of its location in the 3D world, if that original set of points is just going loose and crazy all over the place, like it seems to be, then offsetting on the screen coordinates doesn't seem like it's going to help me. Or at least it wouldn't be a constant value that I use to offset on the screen coordinates. It would be some kind of fudged together compensation for the problems of the world to screen coordinates conversion function. Well, okay, easy enough to try. Again, this is in the category of easy to try, but I don't see how it's going to help. So, but let's try it because it could enlighten one or both of us. It might add more information too about the problem. Okay, so for that to work, I'd say just don't apply any 3D offset to the position. Don't do that, okay? And then this thing here has got, what is it doing? It's going to do a conversion, it's going to do a Y flip. Yeah, I got you. To be honest, I'm not going to worry about setting the offset now. Yeah, but look. Okay. I'm trying to make this a pure test. So here's my thinking. I could be wrong about the exact 3D offset to start with. But if we have this at 0, 0, 0, it should just stay locked on 0, 0, 0 if this function is not, doing something other than returning the correct 2D screen coordinates based on the world position. It should feel like it's locked in place. So that's why I'm not going to mess with these to start with. I want to rule them out as a possible cause of problems. The other thing that it might be worth thinking about is this here. I am offsetting here in some way. You could say this is a Y flip. This might be somehow incorrect right here. All right, so I'm going to start with that just to do a test. Okay, so the bottom of the chin from this vantage point, it's locked. It's flat on the ground, and the bottom of the chin is right here at this edge there. But do you see what happens though? Like if I add a few pixels to the screen coordinates, and this is not truly locked on a world point, like the screen coordinates return that function are moving around, then, dang it, the Y offset that I add is not going to be constant. I think this is moving up and down. So there's something about Z. What if it was like maybe the point that I'm rendering at is like right in the middle of this, like this is centered on it? It feels close to being right. It feels like it's just that Z axis, or maybe not even the Z axis. It might be. I'm starting to doubt this code right here, to be honest. This code right here, I'm starting to doubt. Okay. Well, here's what I can do. So let's put the 3D offset in. Let's add a 2D offset too. Just a inspector tweakable thing I can mess with. We'll say all right, man. Thanks for the help. Enjoy your. Wait a minute. I don't know what part of the world you're in. Lunch, I guess. Dinner. Okay. Screen. Y offset. Lunch. U.S. or Canadian. Pacific time zone. Let me just look at this render texture thing. Or what is it? Draw texture. Just to see if I missed something. Okay, pixel coordinates with 0, 0 in the upper left corner. Okay, screen Y offset. I think I must have a compilation problem here. Make that an int. Alright, I am actually going to take off for lunch pretty soon too. Boom. Alright, I'm gonna break for lunch or brunch, and I might come back on, but I might not, because I also have to get like some build pipeline stuff done. I gotta figure out how to get everything pushed with LFS, and that means going into control panels and admin stuff with passwords and all that. And I don't want to have to think too hard about what's shown, and it's also quite boring to watch for a stream. So probably the rest of the day off stream. I hope I fix this. I don't want to spend a lot more time on it. But anyways, for anyone that's on right now, thanks for joining me. And I'm going to stop the stream. Stopping it.